Adaaaa. You're watching the number one podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, and I'm your host, Jean-Paul Leek. This is Rope Break. Family, here we are, and you know what time it is. Like Jim Ross says, it's Wednesday. You know what time it is. AEW Dynamite review. What did they call this show? The St. Patrick's Day Bash or Splash or, Crash or whatever this was, or Smash. This was a pretty good show, mostly due to the main event. We saw the lights out, unsanctioned match between Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. Fantastic match. The whole wrestling world, you have people from WWE to, Hall of Famers to everybody is saying how great this match was, and rightfully so. And the rest of the card, some of it was all right, some of it was pretty good, and some of it was just downright awful. But let's get into it. But before we do, like always, want to thank each and every one of the family. Thank you all for your support, the likes, the comments, the subscriptions. Thank you all. It's only helping us grow. And like I said, make sure you like the videos, all that stuff, comment, because it just pushes us further so our reach can get bigger and bigger. But let's get into the review. The show opened up. We saw a recap of MJF, him leaving the Inner Circle, forming his group. We saw all them arrive, private jet, everything like that. Then just a rundown of this, just everything that happened last week. And then we see Pentagon, him and Cody Rhodes, they're having their match to start the show. And Penta says, Cody, I'm going to break your arm. You're going to have an early paternity leave, blah, 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 this and that. Just adding more heat, using his unborn child as the catalyst for this feud, I guess, because they couldn't think of anything else legit. But, this match, it was pretty good. I mean, I do have some problems with it. I don't like how Penta slows things down to do the chop on the chest, especially very early in a match when the opponent should, have enough stamina, be strong enough to just push him away, be like, you're bullshit and stuff. But, I mean, otherwise, this was really good. Penta is, he is legit when he's not doing the gimmick stuff. I don't mind the Cero Miedo, like right in the beginning when he's making his entrance and all that. But during the match and stuff, it completely just, like, makes the match come to a screeching halt, kills all the momentum. So I don't like that, but big superplex and just the Canadian Destroyer Cody hit on Penta was legit. And, it was a really good match. And Penta, he also he kicked out at the Crossroads at the end of this thing, which was really good. And speaking of the end, let's skip right to it. Cody slams Penta knee into the steel ring post. Cody locks in the figure four in the middle of the ring. Penta gets the ropes. He reverses another figure four attempt into an arm breaker. But while Penta's kind of celebrating because he hit the arm breaker, again, just too much, like, just focus on the match instead of the celebrating, the taunting, all that shit. I know that's his character, that's his gimmick, but it's like, it's not needed, especially in a match that you should try to win against a former, TNT champion. But Cody rolls him up 1, 2, 3 for the victory. So Cody wins this thing. Penta was mostly just attacking the arm. Like they said, the main thing, he was just, the left shoulder, left arm, whatever. He was using that arm breaker to put a lot of people away. So that was his, focus and attack on this match. But Penta did look good, kicking out of the Crossroads and everything. But except at the end there, when he was stupid and got rolled up. But then afterwards, Penta, he attacks Cody. Arn, he gets in the ring. Dustin and the Gun Club, they kind of chase out Penta. The Gun Club, to me, is so obnoxious, so annoying. I would, they just need to be off TV. But that's Tony Khan. He literally signs friends and family of everyone who he's already signed. So the roster is just going to grow and grow with more useless idiots. But, then QT Marshall comes out. The Nightmare Family's like, where were you? Because he took a sweet time getting there. So, again, you still see that storylines going on where QT's probably going to leave because he's like, these guys are all bullshit. And, I tend to agree with QT. Then we see Marvez. He's with the Young Bucks, and Matt says that Phoenix beat him in a singles match, and Phoenix beat Nick last year in a singles match. But he said, see, that's the thing. They're the tag team champs, not singles champs, stuff like that. So it's like, unless you can beat us in a tag match, that really don't matter. Callis comes out, and he asks about their father, and he's like, oh, I hope he's okay. I bought him a shirt. The shirt said no thigh slaps, poking fun at WWE. And they asked about his eyes, like, oh, it's faking the injury. He wanted them to kick him, and he wants to see the old Young Bucks and wants to see that intensity back that they had in Japan. And he said there's nothing elite about them anymore. And then he calls Omega the god of pro wrestling because they're like, oh, well, what good do you do? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, I made Kenny the god of pro wrestling, all this stuff. He says Omega doesn't recognize them anymore and that they're just another tag team in fancy tights. So he's just trying to get under the Young Bucks skin here. And, it was what it was. They had to get him on TV. So Then we see Jade Cargill. She's in action next. And Jade went against Danny Jordan. Very quick match. Jade just beat the shit out of her. And she hits the Jaded or the Glam Slam for the 1, 2, 3. So, good win for her there. And at least they're still having her on TV. It wasn't just that Shaq deal and done. So don't be surprised if she eventually goes against like Hikaru Shida or somebody like that for the title. Do I think she's ready? No, but I don't think they'll give her the title either. So it's fine. And then Jade gets in Red Velvet's face in the crowd. Referees pull them apart from each other. So there you go. Maybe that will be the feud before Hikaru Shida, but I still think they really have a lot of high stocks in Jade. I feel like Brandy is the one behind this because she was going to be in this feud before she got knocked up. So, if Brandy likes you, then you're going to be pushed like Cameron Grimes to the moon. So then we see a recap of the Inner Circle's implosion from last week. MJF music plays. He brings out his new stable. Tully says, excuse me, he says, great. It's great being in the ring with these guys. And he says that this is a group of the baddest and they're the pinnacle of the sport. He says that he started with the 4 horsemen and he will finish with this group. MJF says that he really is Judas, pretending like Jericho wasn't a walk, or pretending to like Jericho wasn't a walk in the park. He insults us. He said something about his hairline, which is pretty funny. And then he said that he and Sammy are as far away from each other as his pecs. Again, he keeps digging at Jericho like you're bald, you're fat, you don't get any muscles, everything like that. And he said he pretended to like his comedy bullshit, and he convinced everybody that he wanted to take over the Inner Circle, but his real goal was to kill the Inner Circle and build a group even stronger. MJF says, look at this lineup. They are the Pinnacle, which that is the new name of this group, the Pinnacle. So we have it, too many guys. I believe Pinnacle is also a name of a brand of vodka. So, I don't really care for the name too much, but the group's pretty cool. Wardlow is the best insurance policy in the business. Spears is a wrestler's wrestler, and he's been held down for far too long. FTR are the only Grand Slam tag champions in the world, which I don't, again, referencing WWE, when Grand Slam mean like you won it, I would say all the major promotions. So you would say WWE, I guess AEW, Impact, I would say Ring of Honor. I wouldn't go any lower than that. Maybe not even Ring of Honor or Impact, let's say, but they're working with them. But, New Japan, the Revival or FTR was only WWE and now AEW. So I don't know if I'd be referencing Grand Slam. Again, why they keep referencing WWE. So I didn't get that. But and then MJF is already the most talked about pro wrestler today. He is unstoppable at only 24, and he will only get better. He says Jericho won't be the GOAT. He will be, he will be, as an MJF. And he says, we are the Pinnacle. We will be the backbone of AEW for years to come. They will take what they want and when they want, and they want Jericho's locker room. MJF says he's better than that, and you know it. So, good promo by MJF, good promo by Tully in the beginning. We got the lineup for this group. I think too many people. Maybe Wardlow could have said screw you and did his own singles thing, get rid of Sean Spears, just have it be the 4 of them. But they have all these guys, so we'll see where they go. As long as they give them good feuds, I don't mind it. But that's the whole thing about a group and a stable. It's what are you going to do with these guys? Are they just going to be hanging around, being bullshit? Are they actually going to be legit? That's the thing we got to see. So then the commercial break, we see Big Money Matt Hardy. He makes his entrance with Private Party, Butcher, and The Blade. Matt says he lives to make money, and he is in a businessman building, and he is a businessman building an empire. Jurassic Express are out next, along with Bear Country. So this was a 10-man tag match. So I had almost zero interest in this thing. I got to be completely honest with you, and it was very quick. I really didn't even see much of Bear Country in this thing, and they're the team who I'd rather just have seen them versus the Butcher and the Blade and something like that. But, mostly it was just Jungle Boy was selling for most of this match. Marco Stunt comes in, Luchasaurus comes in. He clears house. He looks good. They tag in, of course, Marco, useless stunt. And he pretty much gets his ass kicked by Private Party and everybody. Matt Hardy tags himself in. He hits a twist of fate, 1, 2, 3. So there we go. Like I said, you really didn't even see much of Bear Country. And if they were in there, I couldn't pay attention because you could have the 10 best wrestlers in the world. Bret Hart's perfect, Shawn Michaels, Macho Man, Undertaker, all these guys, Kurt Angle, put them in a 10-man tag, and I will not be interested. It's too many people. You can't tell any type of story, so I have no interest. But Matt Hardy and the heels win. Good for them. At least the Butcher and the Blade, all these guys get a win because I know that's, very rare in their case. So. And then Bear Country and Jurassic Express argue outside. So there you go. Maybe that's the next feud because they weren't really even in this match, like I said. Then Moxley and Kingston, they're backstage, and he says he's got beaten into a bloody pulp, but he should be on the beach right now, sipping Mai Tais, all that. But at first, they need to fix the real problem. He doesn't like the Good Brothers. Gallo, they say he looks like a googly eye, like the googly eyes you glue on the popsicle stick and you shake them. That's what he said that Gallows looks like, and that they will split his forehead open. And, they're like, oh, can we say Bullet Club? All that stuff. They're making references. And they're like, I forget who he said, if it was Pac or Biggie or who it was, but King said a legit line. He's like, a coward will die 1,000 deaths, but they're soldiers, so they'll only die one death. So, good stuff there. And Kingston is always a great promo. So is Moxley. So, no problems with that little segment there. And then we go to a commercial break, and we see Dasha backstage with Christian. Maybe this is finally where he's able to talk and not get interrupted. And she asked Christian, why did you come to AEW? And he's like, I'm going to answer your question, but let me just go on a little rant here first. And he talks about workhorses, and he says that he makes wrestlers level up. And he says that he's not a workhorse. He is the workhorse. And he says that there's only one spot that interests him, and it's held by Kenny Omega. He says Omega is on borrowed time. But he will see Kenny down the road because he's like, I'm not just going to come in here and just demand a title shot. No, I'm not bullshit. I'm going to get a couple wins. I'm going to earn it. But like he said, you're on borrowed time. And then he's like, and now to answer your question, why am I in AEW? It's to cement my legacy and to put in action 3 simple words: outwork everyone. Great promo by Christian. I'm sure they have this uploaded on their YouTube. If not, they're stupid. But, great promo. Go listen to it. Christian is badass. I'm happy he's here because they're at least, hopefully, fingers crossed, going to appreciate this guy. So then we see the Good Brothers. They attack Eddie Kingston as he makes his entrance for this tag match. Moxley comes out to help. He's all taped up and everything, obviously, selling this stuff from the barbed wire match. Gallows, uppercut. Again, they're just fighting everything. The Good Brothers, they hit the Magic Killer on a Moxley on the outside. So, then they pretty much just were going on Eddie Kingston for most of this match. He was selling the Magic Killer on the outside. And picture through this match, and the Good Brothers look pretty decent. And I was almost like pretty good. It's like, yeah, no shit. But no, I mean, they're not a bad tag team. Kingston is good. Moxley, in the right environment with the right people, can look good. And this match, it was thinking, is this going to be kind of the blow off? Are they doing something else? Is Moxley moving away from the title picture? What's going on? No, we really didn't see that because at the end of this thing, Anderson, he hits a huge spine buster for a 2 count. The Good Brothers then hit the Bot of Doom, and then Kingston walks into a shovel hook for a 2 count. Moxley, or the Boot of Doom, and then Moxley for a 2 count. Kingston breaks up the Magic Killer, sends Gallows to the outside, and then Moxley, he hits a small package, not paradigm shift, nothing like that. 1, 2, 3, and he gets the win over Carl Anderson. Or the team wins, but he pins Carl Anderson. And then the Good Brothers, they get pissed. They attack Moxley after the bell. Omega comes out. He's holding a chair. He sets up the chair in the middle of the ring. Kingston attacks Omega because he was obviously on the outside. They didn't see him. He jumps in, knocks Omega off the chair. And then they hit a Magic Killer onto Kingston. They put his leg through the chair. Anderson stomps on the chair, breaking Kingston's leg. Like, oh, my God, they broke his leg, this and that. And then they put the chair around Moxley's neck. Gallows goes up to the top, but the Young Bucks come out to stop them. The Good Brothers offer the 2 sweet. The Young Bucks don't respond. They walk away. Omega gets in Matt's face, but they walk away. Moxley comes back, swinging the chair. And, the Elite, they leave. So, maybe we're going to see the Good Brothers versus the Young Bucks. Maybe we're going to see that matchup. Maybe we're going to see Omega and somebody else versus the Young Bucks. Who knows? But this whole feud's kind of still going on. Moxley's still there. Or we'll see a 3-man tag. Kingston is out. And then it'll be Moxley and the Young Bucks versus Omega and the Good Brothers. That's most likely the matchup we're going to see because they're going to play this injury angle. So we'll see where they go. I don't mind this. If this is just, okay, we got to hold this over till we have a legit number 1 contender, because if you want to think about it realistically, there is none. So I guess I'm okay with it, but let's start building up some other guys instead of doing 8-man, 6-man, 500-man tag matches. Do some one-on-ones, build some guys up. And then Tony Schiavone, he's on the stage. He brings out Sting. And then, Darby Allin. Darby says that he won the TNT Championship and he's only defended it 3 times. And, of course, the crowd cheers, woo! And he's like, no, don't cheer because that's fucking bullshit. I want to be a champion who fights and defends this belt as often as I can. And he said that he wants to pay tribute to the greatest TNT champion of all time, Brody Lee. So he says that he will defend the belt against anyone from the Dark Order. He's thrown an open challenge just to them. And, who comes out? Is it Stu Grayson, Evil Uno, John Silver, Alex Reynolds? Is it 10? Who is it? Who comes out? It's Lance Archer again to interrupt Sting, Darby Allin, and this group. And Archer, he says that it should be his time. He calls Darby the indie-rific joke, and he's like, you like coffins, boy? I'm going to put your ass in a coffin. Jay calls him, he's like, oh, go wear your hot dog bun backstage because you're just a weenie. Like, maybe that joke was funny 40 years ago. I don't know, not too funny now, but maybe he wanted to just be, not get booted off the air by saying something really inappropriate. And he's like, Sting, you know me. You don't want to mess with us. And he's like, you're going to get, and Archer says, you're going to get what's coming to him. And he calls Archer the biggest, baddest son of a bitch. So, obviously is it going to be Archer versus Darby Allin? Is it going to be Archer versus Sting? Who knows? But, Lance Archer, he's coming for this group. And then Taz comes out. So it's like, oh my, can we just get like an interview segment that's not interrupted? Now it's interrupted by 2 people, 2 groups technically. So Taz comes out with Team Taz. Cage grabs the mic and he's like, hey, Taz, you're not speaking for me tonight. And he says this thing, he's like, you stuck your nose in our business and everything. But after this match, we had probably the best street fight ever. He says that I respect you. He's like, I don't care what Ricky Starks and these guys say. I respect you. And he says that Sting is still the icon. So Taz is like, our team Taz, all of them are like, what the hell is wrong with you, this and that. So Cage just kind of, just walks through them, just like kind of pushes them out of the way, walks to the back. They all follow him. So maybe babyface turn for Brian Cage. Maybe he's going to leave the group. If so, Team Taz and all that stuff, failed experiment. Ricky Starks is still legit. You have Powerhouse Hobbs. I don't know if Hook is any good. I know he was training with QT and Cody and all them, and obviously training with his dad. I don't know if he's going to be any good, but losing Brian Cage, even though it's not like he's the greatest thing ever, but it does hurt the group, especially when you didn't even do anything with him in the group. Taz gave him a title that wasn't even recognized, doesn't even mean anything. You don't even see it anymore. So I don't know, but maybe they need more baby faces. Who knows? But we see a video package of Scorpio Sky. He says that he won't be a stepping stone. He is a wrestling savant. So then Phoenix makes his entrance with Pac, and Angelico is already in the ring. So if Angelico's already in the ring, what does that tell you? This guy's a loser. And TH2, pretty much losers. Angelico is at least the one I'd rather see than Jack Evans, but who is going to win this thing? Realistically, come on here. So Phoenix, he gets a roll-up for a 2 count, and Angelico with an enziguri, kicks back and forth, knuckle lock, Phoenix with a crucifix bomb, and then a sit-out pile driver for the 1, 2, 3. Good win by Phoenix, pretty quick match. These guys, boom, 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 both athletic, both kind of have the same similar style, so this meshed well, but obviously we know who the real star of this was. So then good win for Phoenix. After that, we see Marvez. He's with Miro in the gym. Miro says that he isn't interested in Chuck being his butler. And Kip says that he's like, no, I'm moving on to better things. I don't want to, fight these guys. I don't care. So Kip comes and he's like, oh no, this isn't over. Blah, blah, blah. They embarrassed me, my wedding day, all this stuff. So that Miro gets pissed with him. And he's like, hey, it's not my fault that you bring your wife to ringside, that you do all this stuff to set you up to fail. He's like, when the bell rings, you're not my friend. Penelope's not my friend. I don't care about you guys. I don't care about my opponent. I'm going to destroy them. I only care about one thing, and that's winning when I'm in the ring. So at least we see this intensity. We see this legitness. But then we also see the bullshit from Miro. So it's like, what are we going to get here? Either be bullshit so I can hate you or give me all the legitness. But anyway, so then he leaves. And, so then Marvez goes, well, what's going on? Are you going to accept the challenge? And Kip says, yes, I will. And how bad is it that, and obviously Marvez has a little bit of weight to him, but Kip looks like a beanpole next to Marvez. It's like, is this guy a wrestler? Come on, like, do a little something here, but I won't go Jim Cornette on him. We'll just, we'll leave that for the master himself. So then commentary runs down the card for next week. Marvez is with the Dark Order backstage. -1 says he will accept the challenge, and Dark Order says that maybe in 10 years he can do that. So John Silver accepts the open challenge, and then we're going to see that match. I don't know if they said it was next week or when they said that's going to be, but that should be pretty good. John Silver, he's kind of like the new Orange Cassidy, the new fan favorite. So this should be a good match. Darby Allin, he's most likely going to win. So I'm excited for that, because when John Silver, even though his goofy gimmick and his size, he's pretty short and all that, when he wants to go and the match is on, he's not too bad. So then we see commercial break. When we come back, the Pinnacle, they take over the Inner Circle's locker room. And then the lights go out, Britt Baker makes her entrance, and Thunder Rosa is out next. So then we get the unsanctioned lights out, anything goes, Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa match. And this match was great. They started on the outside because these two hate each other. That's when a match can start on the outside. That's when you can be beating each other down before you even get to the ring, because you just are so angry. You hate your opponent so much. You can't even wait to get in the ring. So they whack her with the crutch. They're fighting on the outside, fighting in the stands. Eventually, they make it back to the ring. They have tables set up, the chairs. Baker gets busted open. Thunder Rosa gets busted open. Superplex onto the chairs. They bring the ladder in. Death Valley Driver onto the ladder. And then she hits a Baker. That was Thunder Rosa hit that. Britt Baker hit a flatliner onto the ladder. This match was great. Everything was good. They're bleeding. They're busted open. Eventually, Britt brings in the tacks, throws tacks down, and that's when it was like, oh, shit. These women aren't just using the chairs and the ladders. We've seen that before. I don't know if we've ever seen women use tacks. This might have been a first, or at least the first, on mainstream TV here in America. Maybe Japan, maybe Mexico, maybe other places. But, on national mainstream television, this might have been the first time we saw that. So that was good. They had like I said, the table's on the outside. Reba got knocked through to one table, so that she was taken out of this thing. And then eventually, she gets the lockjaw. Well, first she got power bombed through onto the thumbtacks, and she got like thumbtacks on her. This wasn't just like, oh, I got a couple on my back and some on my boot. No, her back was covered in thumbtacks, like a Mick Foley. Like she was in there, like rolling around. It was bad, and you have to applaud her for it. I think if you didn't like Britt Baker, you didn't like the promos, you didn't like anything, at least by the end of this match, you had the utmost respect for her and for Thunder Rosa as well. But then Baker, she applies the lockjaw, and both of these women are laying in the thumbtacks. But Rosa, using her smarts because of where they're positioned, when she's in the lockjaw, she rolls over Baker. So now Baker's on the thumbtacks again. So she just obviously releases it. She's in so much pain. She's, crimson mask, to use the term, the wrestling, the term made famous in wrestling, just face completely covered in blood. And so she feels the pain. She lets go with the lockjaw. And then Baker, she throws a thrust kick on Rosa, which was actually almost a little dangerous, because I was thinking, like, if she had a thumbtack on the bottom of her shoe and she hit Rosa in the face, thumbtacks in the face usually doesn't end very well. But then Rosa, she hits like the Thunder Driver, whatever she calls her, like driver, because they're eventually fighting on the apron. She hits that, boom, through the table, the other table that was set up on the outside. She covers her right away. I didn't know it was a false count anywhere, but after they beat the hell out of each other, who knows if she can even make it back in the ring. So she pins her right there on the floor. 1, 2, 3. Thunder Rosa wins, and she raises Thunder Rosa's hand as Dynamite goes off the air. So that match made the show. Like I said, there's some decent stuff. The Darby Allin promo was good, but then it was ruined. The Cody Penta match was okay. Didn't like the ending, but that feud's still going to go on. The 10-man tag match was awful. And, so there was Christian Cage promo was great. So there's, this show was a mixed bag, but at least the last thing we saw was very legit. And like I said, if you're going to go, or you're going to give us something good, at least save it for the main event. So it's the last thing we see, because that's what we remember the most. The last thing we see on the show, and the last thing we saw here was a fantastic match. I think people are going to be, this one is, I always say, people do so much in wrestling, you're going to forget stuff. You're not going to talk about it in 2 weeks from now. This is one people are going to talk about for a while. This was a great match. Go watch it if you can. Even the hardcore legend himself, Mick Foley, was like, where can I see this match? He's like, this looks crazy. He's like, I need to see it. So maybe Mick will be joining AEW. Maybe WWE don't like that comment. Now, I'm just joking around. But this match was fantastic. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. And, you know, make sure you follow us on all the social media as well. Rope Break on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, Original Rope Break on Instagram, and, of course, right here on YouTube, the #1 podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, the Original Rope Break. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time with NXT UK.